I know everyone knew Art. I said, my name's Richard, don't talk to me, I'm deaf. I said, I'll open your soda for you, put a straw in it for you, and then I'll go. I said, you know, I read lips, I can't read your lips, I'll just get seasick and throw up.
I get seasick.
And I tried to walk away, and he grabs me. And he wants to talk to me. I don't want to listen. So I did what every deaf person does. I sat down, decided I would pretend to understand him, agree with everything he said, and then leave. When I sat down, he started to talk. And the heavens opened up. There was something about his speech that blended perfectly with my exploded hearing. And I could understand every word he said. If I had not been in that explosion, I would have not have understood him, and I would have never met him. And I came to understand something after that has served me well all of my life. Sometimes, those things that seem like the worst thing that has ever happened to you is exactly what you need. You just did not realize it at the time. The only reason any of us have any tragedy at all is we can't see far enough ahead. We can't see around the corner. Art and I became friends. And we'd go around together, and people would talk to Art because Art was a genius. His IQ is probably higher than my cholesterol level. And they'd go to Art and they'd say, Art, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And Art would go, for about a half hour. Then they turn to me and go, what did he say? And I'd tell them. Then they talk to me for a while. But I'm deaf. So I turn to Art and say, what did he say? And Art would tell me, we were the strangest pair you've ever seen in your life. And I got to tell you, they wouldn't let us into a movie. We got kicked out of Billy Jack 4 times. All the disabled Vietnam vets adopted Art. We liked Art. And I remember one day, there was a war protest meeting, and Art came down, and he had a lighter, and it was taped to his hand. And we said, Honeyman, what do you got? He said, I want to protest Vietnam. I said, how are you going to do that? He said, I'm going to burn my draft card. I said, you got a draft card? Yeah. I said, Art, you ever hear of 4F? He said, yeah. I said, Art, you're 10F. We would have to have commies on the White House lawn before we draft you. He said, well, I want to protest something. He said, what am I going to do with his lighter? I said, well, the women's movement is over there. They're burning their bras. And Art said, that's a better idea. I said, no kidding, Art, go for it. Art called me one morning, 3 in the morning. He'd had a birthday. His sister sent him $10. I guess he got the envelope at noon and he got it open at 3 in the morning. And he said, I got $10 pancakes. I knew what he wanted. He wanted me to come up to the dorm and get him dressed. He wanted me to carry his wheelchair out of the dorm and onto the street because the dorm wasn't accessible. He wanted me to push the wheelchair to the pancake house. He wanted me to pull his wheelchair up the stairs of the pancake house, get him in there, put him at a table, order for him, cut the pancakes, and feed him. And for that, he was going to give me breakfast. Seemed like a good idea. And we had done it before. And had the waitress who was usually there been there, I might not have been here today. But there was a waitress that had never seen Art or anyone like him. And suddenly, what seemed like a pretty common day to me turned out to be the day I had to make a decision that would change the rest of my life. She came up to Art, 1971, Portland, Oregon, International House of Pancakes. She came up to Art and said, "You are the most disgusting looking thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe you've come to a place where people are eating. You're going to make us sick. I can't believe you want me to bring you food, and you're going to eat it, and I don't know how, like some pig in a trough. I won't serve you. Get out." I thought people like you were supposed to die at birth. I did not know what to say. I'd never heard anyone talk to anyone this way. My God, I was airborne, and we didn't even talk to the Marines that way. Okay, we did. But that's another speech. Bottom line, I waited for Art. What's going to happen? Is he going to crumble? Is he going to dissolve? Is he going to melt in front of me? Will all these years of having CP finally make him implode as a human being? I told you Art was a genius, but I tell you he was an evil genius. And he looked at me, and this is what Art said. He said, they did not put this in the movie. We wanted him to, but they said it was too Hollywood, and no one would believe it. I said, it happened. They said, no one will believe it. Art looked at me and he said, "Richard, why do you think she's talking to you that way?" He said, "You don't look any worse than you normally look." Lord knows I've wanted to say this to you before, but you're my friend. I said, "She's not talking to me, she's talking to you." He said, "How can you be sure?" And we got in this big argument about who she was talking to. And he said, "Well, whoever she's not talking to ought to date her." So we told her that, and that made her even madder. And then she called the police, and the police came, and we thought the police were going to shoot her because she was awful. But the police heard the story and told us we had to leave or we're going to jail. And then Art said the words that changed my life. He said, "I want to go to jail." And then he said, "And Richard wants to go to jail too." And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to go to jail. I want a job with a big American company. Back then, if you'd have gone to jail, you couldn't get a job with a big American company. Now you get a job with a big American company, then you go to jail. And then three things occurred to me. Two of them intellectual, one not so much. The first intellectual thing that occurred to me was, if they didn't want me to commit civil disobedience, why did they ask me to read Thoreau? That's pretty intellectual. And then the second thing was, I didn't go to Vietnam to protect people I don't know, to come back and find that the people I care about have no rights. And I was not the first American soldier to come back to find that out. And Vietnam was not the first war we came back from. The entire civil rights movement was started by African American soldiers coming back after saving the world in World War II to find out that they weren't welcome to eat in the restaurants of their own city. And the third one, okay, this third one was an intellectual. How the hell are they going to fingerprint Art? I need to see it. This would be worth like $20 right now. And $20 was a lot of money in '71. So I said, "I want to go to jail." And they accommodated me. And they took us to jail. They put us in a holding tank, gave us breakfast, pancakes. Took us in front of a judge and found us guilty of what? Breaking an ugly law. In 1971, 23 cities in America had ugly laws. They were laws that were developed to keep the freaks in the freak show from coming to town to have a burger after their show. The ugly laws read thusly: no one who's crippled, maimed, deformed, or otherwise an unsightly or improper person, or a person that would give offense to others, or to be a disgusting object, shall be out upon the public thoroughfare. And no one who's a guardian of such a person shall abide their ward. So Art was found guilty of being disgusting, and I was found guilty of being with him. Had that happened in the year 2000, I could have got a t-shirt with like an arrow on it. And the words, "I'm with disgusting." And I could have simply walked on his ride. We left the courthouse. Art starts laughing. I said, "What's so funny, Honeyman?" He said, like we got pancakes, and I still got my $10. He said, "You want to do it again?" I said, "Why not? It's not like I'm going to have a job." And so we did it again and again and again and again. Because here's what we knew. If you make society enforce an unfair law, you don't need to have a revolution against society. The unfairness of their own act will destroy that society. That's what Thoreau taught. You know who believed him? Gandhi. You know who believed him? Martin Luther King. And while Art and I will never be in that category, we believed him too. We recruited disgusting people. Art recruited everyone with CP that he knew, all the developmental disabled people in Portland that he knew, spina bifida, everything. I recruited all the disabled veterans I could find. Disabled veterans who had white phosphorus grenades go off in their face. They didn't have a face anymore. And so we went into restaurants with that. We even recruited disgusting people that weren't disabled. They were just disgusting. And they came with us. You got a disability? No. Oh, that's right. You're disgusting. Come on. And we got arrested and arrested and arrested. And finally, the cops got so exhausted. One of them said, "Come home with me. I'll wake my wife up. She'll make you pancakes." No, we want to go to jail. And we kept working and working and working with it. We knew we had to change that law. And then we found out there were 22 more laws in other cities that we had to change. And we knew there was only one way to do it. And that was to have a federal law making them all unconstitutional. And Art and I kept working, along with so many other people. Justin Dart, Judy Heumann, Evan Kemp, people that you've never heard of. And eventually, we did it. But in order to do it, we had to put together and get the Americans